Wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this exciting keynote talk on teaching with AI, literacy tools and techniques by Dr. Jose Bowen. Thank you for joining us today. Jose is a renowned educator, author, and speaker with decades of experience in higher education. He has presented keynotes and workshops at more than 400 campuses and conferences in 46 states and 20 countries around the world. He has been leading innovation in change for over 40 years at different universities, including Stanford and Georgetown. He held different leading positions, including Dean at Miami University and SMU, and as president of Gotcher College. Jose is widely recognized for his engaging talks and practical insights on innovation and teaching and innovation in teaching and learning. He is the author and co-author of several influential books, including Teaching Naked and Teaching with AI, which have shaped how educators approach pedagogy in the digital age. His work continues to inspire faculty and institutions worldwide to rethink education in ways that are student-centered, evidence-based, and future-ready. Jose holds 4 degrees from Stanford University in chemistry, music, and humanities, and has written over 100 scholarly articles. He is also a winner of several awards. So without any further ado, I would hand it over to Dr. Jose. So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And so I'm glad to be here. I hope you can hear me and see me. I'm in a hotel room, so my new hack is I've used the ironing board to raise the level of my computer because I'm not at home. But I have put in the chat a link. My understanding is we're here for about an hour this morning, and then I will have more time with you to do more. We'll try more things on Wednesday, but that you're spending quite a lot of this week thinking about these issues. So the link I've put in the chat will take you to this page. Teaching Naked is a metaphor for teaching and relationships. But you'll see, so there's the model I've sent you to, and there's this AI tab in the middle. I just want to make you familiar with that. So a lot of the things I'll be talking about today, and certainly Wednesday will be here. So there's models, tools, prompting, searching, various things. And then down at the bottom, resources. And so if you want all of the slides for today, there they are, right? There's the slide, the complete AI citations. That's also for what we'll do on Wednesday. There are also some other resources here. And again, so that AI button is going to be your friend today. Any questions about that? Anybody who wants to be on camera, I do appreciate getting to see some faces and reactions, but I understand not everybody can do that. But I appreciate seeing some people, so thank you. All right. So let's start by making sure we understand what AI can already do. This is a couple weeks out of date, but this is a few weeks ago. This is a student who types in complete the course. Let me know if you need anything. And so he puts in a link to the course in Canvas online, and then the AI then navigates to the course and will take the complete course for the student. So I just wanted you to see, right? So there's the AI navigates to the course. The student has to log in, and then the AI then takes the course, answers the questions, does everything. And so again, you can now do this today. ChatGPT 5, which came out a few days ago, allows anybody for free to do this. You see at the bottom there of this video, it says agent. So this was done before ChatGPT 5. This should now be automatic, although they're having some trouble with the rollout of GPT-5. But you can see the student then finds some assignments, some questions. The AI just does. So actually, the student is doing nothing here. This is just all AI. But of course, it works the other way too. So this is a faculty member, And so in this case, the question is, so can you go to my course and grade the assignment? And so the person has to log in, right? Has to provide the login. This is Canvas. Maybe, yeah, I think it's, and so the person here, by the way, has made up didn't want to use a course, so that's hidden. But then the AI navigates to the grade book. You can see the grade book there, and then it finds the assignments. I'm going to skip ahead. It's already sped up a little bit, but then, so there is the AI grading, and you can see there's the feedback. There's the marks 60 and 80, and those marks have been put in the grade book. So, right, and there it is. That's the looking at you. Right, you probably has something like this in LMS with a grade book. Right, so just to level set, right? So this is old news. We'll talk a little bit about GPT-5 coming up. But the first point is that AI has already changed work, right? You need to be aware of what things AI can already do. And so it can already take courses. It can already grade papers for you. You may not want them to do that, but you should know it can. I am more concerned, of course, with how AI is going to change thinking. Right? What will humans do? Where is the place for human thinking? I would argue in certainly the faculty example there that I would want to, at the very least, check the grades and supply the rubric, calibrate the AI so it knows how I grade, and then go in and check and say, oh yeah, that's what I would have said. And it would take me a while before I had confidence that the AI could actually grade like me. I think it can, but I would want to make sure of that. But we've had other technologies that have changed human thinking, right? Think about a map, right? A map makes you smarter. It allows you to see the world in a different way. It's a cognitive tool that allows you to visualize things. Now, if I show you a map and then I take the map away, you're still smarter, right? You still have this ability to now see the earth or see the world in some way because you saw a map. So it made you smarter. But if I show you GPS and I let you use GPS for a week, and then I take the GPS away, now you're just lost, right? So both of those are cognitive technologies that change human thinking. A map makes you smarter, and GPS doesn't. Because with GPS, you start to cognitively offload the work, and so you don't actually pay attention to your surroundings in a way, and you get dumber, if you like. So what kind of tool is AI going to be? So we have to pay attention because our job is thinking, right? Helping people learn how to think is what we do. So we need to pay attention to whether AI is going to help or hurt, and the answer is we don't know yet, and it depends on how you use it. But we do know that AI is the new average, right? So AI doesn't always do great work, but it can do work easily, right? AI is always, well, not always. AI will often be able to do a good enough job, a letter of recommendation, grading papers, writing a paper, right? So AI is the new average, which means that we have to, as faculty, think about how to raise standards. Because students who can only do work that is as good as AI will not get jobs. So you may say, well, I can catch them when they're cheating. It's like, but their employer isn't going to care, because if the work that they can do is no better than AI, why would I hire you? Right? So we need to make sure that our students can do better work than the new average, than the new AI. So I think this means we need to change our grading, but we need to raise our standards so students can do better work than AI. Third, AI is going to change communications and relationships, right? It is already more empathetic than humans. It doesn't actually feel anything, of course, but it gives the impression of being empathetic, which makes it more persuasive. So it's already changing communication. AI is also going to make us all more creative. In a variety of interesting ways that we'll come back and talk about. But AI has no problem with quantity, which we know is part of creativity. And AI is also uninhibited, so it will say anything. It will put new ideas together in new ways, right? Hallucinations are a problem in some areas. But what do you call a human who hallucinates? Well, we call that person an artist. right? Someone who makes up stuff, who does new things in new ways. And so there are times when the hallucination is a feature, not a bug. So we need to recognize that AI is a new form of labor. You are now an AI boss. And your students will always be an AI boss in their career. So we need to set them up to understand how to do that. So those are some of the things I'm going to try to talk about today, and we'll spend a lot more time on Wednesday thinking about teaching, using some tools, getting it to do some things. But I'll demo a few of those things today, but you'll have a lot more hands-on time Wednesday. So let's start with working and thinking. So first, we already know that jobs are going. Employers are saying that the first jobs to go are marketing, communication, and PR. Okay. But data analysis, business intelligence is second. Finance is third. Engineering and software development is fourth. You'll notice that since this survey was done with leaders, that leadership is low on the list. Leaders think that leaders will not be replaced. But of course, AI can be a pretty good manager. It can manage thousands of people at once with right? You can only talk to one person at a time, but AI can talk to thousands of people at once. So we'll see. Law is one of those things that's changing, and I want to talk about why. So in this test, this was done with 3.5, not even with GPT-4. But it found that AI was better able to do legal drafts, to look at contracts, to find out what's missing, right? And it's, of course, much cheaper. So the company who makes this product started off with the slogan, "So you can do more of what AI can't," which makes a lot of sense. But of course, notice that AI is already better, this is a year and a half ago, than junior lawyers. The problem for us is that how do you become a senior lawyer? How do you become an expert if you can't first be at the junior level, right? If you can't be average, because AI can do that lower level work. And so that's a problem that's coming for us, for people who teach. But here's the reason why AI is so much better. Because AI can search for ideas. So if you're used to doing Google searches, and you've only been using the free version of ChatGPT, for example, as of today, right, your ChatGPT experience is radically different because it will search the web for you, but it will search for ideas, right? So in other words, I can do things like find anything like this. Has anything similar ever happened at a plant, at a drilling site? Right? It's something similar, right? I can't do a Google search through my data or a Microsoft Word search. I can only look for words, right? So it turns out that AI is much better at finding out what's missing from a contract. What is missing from this plan of attack? What is missing from this plan for the project, right? AI is better at that already because it doesn't just look for words, right? So for my last book, I uploaded the book and I said, identify all the places in the book where I repeated an idea. I couldn't have done that before, right? Was I redundant? Did I say something in chapter 6 that I already mentioned in chapter 2? And should I pull those things together? So that is an entirely new way of searching. So I can do things like, what are experts saying about this? How is thinking changed about this? Are trends, right? So I invite you now, if you've not used ChatGPT since it became ChatGPT 5, I invite you to go do that now. I'll go to mine. So there is, what did I do here? There it is. Right. So one of the things that's new about ChatGPT 5 is that it, right, and this is the free version. So notice it doesn't have it, if you've been using it before, this last couple of days, you used to have all of those models up there, right? So now it picks the model for you. So if you ask it to do something that involves, like, I need to search for a new raincoat, I need to search for candidates, right? So I am looking for, here we go. So let's see if I can do this. Use my microphone, I can just turn that on. So I would like you to search for candidates for a new position in petroleum engineering. So look for people who have a recent PhD from a good university, and make me a list of 100 potential candidates for the job, and also list their emails in a table.
and provide details about their problem.
Right. So, oops. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Okay. So you get the idea, right? Or here's another one. Look for, right. What are the latest trends in the last 6 months in academic journals about this, and search for something in your field. Okay. So I'll give you just a minute to try that. But search for an idea, right? Is there anybody in the world doing research that's similar to this, right? This is not something you could do even a couple of months ago, anywhere with any tool. And so now you can. And if there are any questions, give me a chat. Oh, yeah, and Mohammed Buddha said, yeah, the calculator is another example. So if you don't have ChatGPT in your region, so then what you need to do is, okay, so there's a little, let me go to some other tool. Let's see if this, here we go. Okay, so if I'm in Gemini, right, so there's a little button, right, so if I'm in Gemini, I can do deep research, right? I can also, in most of these tools, there's a little globe. So if you're in ChatGPT 4.0, there's a little search icon that you need to hit the search icon. You can still do this search, but you have to, so ChatGPT 5, to be fair, really the big innovation here is that there are no more buttons, right? But for ChatGPT 4, just click on the globe that says search, or click on the deep research, right? You have to now, there's a drop-down menu. So you can get it to do all of these things. It's just that for ChatGPT 5, it searches in the background and does it for you. So in fact, I'm not sure if 5 is as big an upgrade as they think it is, but it does automate a lot of this. So again, if you didn't know about reasoning and searching, so let me look one more. So let me start a new chat. So I'm going to do this in Grok, right? So if I'm in Grok, you see I've got the various buttons over there, and so I've got to hit, I could do, expert, heavy, thinking hard. I have different modes. Let me go to perplexity, because that one I know. So this is a good example. So I'm in perplexity, so this looks a little bit more, right? So see this little icon here? So see how it tells me to look for different kinds of searches. So Perplexity was designed as a search engine. So I can do web, I could do academic. So if I'm looking, for example, for job candidates, I would go to academic searches, or I'm doing social because I want to find candidates who are more politically conservative or whatever. I could write, or here's another one, right? I could do this. So I'm going to look for social, and yes. I want you to search for anything that Jose Bowen might have posted in the last 10 years that would make him a hard person to hire. So anything controversial, etc. Go. So I want to, right? So notice what's happened. Right, I've asked it, and so it's going to search. So look, right, so it's going to do a bunch of searches, right? It's looking for, in other words, these are things it's searching for. Have I been involved in any scandals? So put your own name in there. Has he done any political issues, right? So it searches for Jose Bowen Israel, Jose Bowen Gaza, Jose Bowen Trump, Jose Bowen, right? It does hundreds of searches, and I can open these up to see what actual searches it's doing. But that gives you an idea of the kind of power, right? So it's looking for various sorts of things. Any questions about that? All right, so ChatGPT 5 will automate some of that, but as you just saw, I can do it in any search engine. I just have to make sure I'm searching the web. And by the way, you should be, in general, making that choice. And we'll talk a little bit about that. Any other questions about that? Great. Okay. And that's so. So these are right. There are lots of models. So this is the same web page that I've put in here. So when we come back on Wednesday, we will look at what some of the differences between some of these models, because they do different kinds of things. And so you should be aware that they don't all do what I just did. Almost everybody will do, but there are lots of things that other models will do. So here's another thing about human thinking that's interesting. So it turns out This is for financial analysis, right? So in this case, the test was, I'd like you to look at the quarterly earnings for the Fortune 500 companies in the United States, and I would predict earnings for next quarter. And they did this historically from 1962, so they had lots and lots of tests. But then they thought, well, maybe it's cheating. So they did it for the following quarter. So like right now, what is the financial earnings going to be for all of these companies? And then they looked at what the best humans did, and they found that even GPT-4 was better than humans. And so the question is why? So one of the reasons is because AI has bias and humans have bias, but AI has different bias, and AI bias is easier to fix. So if I say to you, how do you think Tesla will do next quarter? Who do you think of? Well, you think of Elon Musk. And so now you have a bias. You either like Elon Musk or you don't like Elon Musk. And so, or you have stock in Tesla. If you have stock, oh, I want it to do well, right? So that influences how you think about Tesla stock because you know who the players are. So with AI, I can just have it not do that by not telling it to consider that, right? You automatically consider that. So if you know how to use AI well, you can actually correct for human bias, right? If I say to you, I want you to look for job candidates, but I want you to ignore the prestige of where they went to college or where they got their PhD. Can you do that? Or when you see Cambridge, do you get excited? Right? Well, as a human, you can't do that. It's like saying, don't think about the cookies, right? You're going to look at the prestige of their university, and you're going to you have prior knowledge. But with AI, I can just say, rank the candidates based solely on their research and teaching, and it will do it. And as a human, you have a hard time doing that. So this just came out. This is a research study on engineering. This is also in my notes, in the slide notes. So a couple of things. One is that they used a specialized RAG bot. I'll talk about that in a minute, but that's retrieval augmented generation. So one way to make your AIs better is to give it a knowledge base. But they had it do complex engineering tasks. It did have a learning curve. Notice if I give engineers a 2-hour task and they've never used AI much, then AI slows them down. They're trying to get AI to work. But a couple of studies have figured out that, after 6 months or after 2 months, you start to get better. It peaks off at 6 months. But if you're doing a longer, more complicated task, you start to see real performance gains. So a couple of things to note. First, this is not just asking ChatGPT. I've given some medical examples here because I'm dealing with a bunch of hospitals, but people are starting to set up very specific tools. So they're using ChatGPT, but they're also giving it a workflow. They're also giving it knowledge base, and on Wednesday I will show you how to do that. So that means that diagnosis is already better. Right, we're finding more cancer. This is a good thing. It means that when I remember I showed you that search tool, that when you did this with ChatGPT 4, diagnosis was only 30% accurate. But when they used this, either they gave it access to the internet or they gave it access to tools that doctors have, all of a sudden it got much better. Right, it needed to have the same access to tools. But of course, the real doctors are reluctant to do this. So think about this. They did a test. Doctors were given the same cases, the same 6 clinical cases in 60 minutes. And they found that, ChatGPT alone was much better. The doctors, if they were given access to ChatGPT, didn't get much better because they didn't trust it. Right, so this is a human operations problem, and so there are a number of follow-up studies. If I have the AI suggest first versus second, et cetera. Robotics is also having a massive change because of AI. So things like chicken deboning, right? This has been a human-centric task because every chicken is different. But combining AI with robots, we're starting to see real differences in what AI can do in the physical world. We now have domestic robots that are cheaper than, I think, $4,000. So we're gonna start to see big changes in robotics here too. So that's working, and thinking. But the other place that you're going to see a lot of AI change is in communications. This Stanford researcher says it's like Grammarly for empathy, which is interesting, right? So is this the fastest change in human writing? We're already seeing like 14% of U.S. press, UN press releases, right? The press releases was at the top of that list for jobs to go away. AI can write like anything, right? It writes very, very fast. But note that people who were writing with AI this is a study from the US, they looked at the 680,000 complaints about US banks. So the United States has a financial protection bureau. And so people who complain about their bank. So it turns out that the complaints that are coming from the least educated counties in America, this chart is by state, but they did it by counties, found that there was much more AI use in Arkansas than in New York or Connecticut, right? This makes sense. If you're a good writer, right, if I want to complain about my bank, I go online, and I know how to write. I know I can type, it's fine. I have no problems. But if English is not your first language, if you're not a very good writer, you are more likely to use AI, which means that faculty may not have noticed, oh, AI it may not be the best writer. It's not as good a writer as I am, but it's a better writer than my students are, and so they're more likely to use it. Call centers have discovered this too. One of my clients is AT&T, right? And they've noticed that, right, when you add AI on the screen, so now I'm talking to a person, but that person is getting advice. The AI is listening to our conversation and saying, no, slow down. They didn't understand that. Oh, no, this is the answer. No, you don't need a supervisor. Here is how you can do this, right? So the AI is giving advice. This pretty dramatically increases productivity, but it also makes employees happier because they don't have to wait for a supervisor, and it actually has empathy. It tells them how to slow down or do things. So you won't be surprised that AI is more persuasive than you are, right? AI is more likely to help people change their mind, reduce conspiracy beliefs, because AI is faster, better, and more accurate, but also more strategic with facts, right? It thinks about, what do I say? What you think, well, I know this, I should say that, right? You raise your hand, and AI is like, no, I don't need to say that. AI is a better listener than you are, right? It's also better at reading the emotional situation. So this is a technology that's over a year old, but it's, let me make sure can you tell me if you can hear the sound?
I just need to know, do I look presentable,
Sound?
professional?
Well, Rocky, you definitely have the I've been coding all night look down, which could actually work in your favor. Maybe just run a hand through your hair.
He has an
Or
interview.
into the mad genius vibe. Your enthusiasm is what's really going to shine through.
I don't have a lot of time, so I'm just going to throw this on. What do you think?
Oh, Rocky, that's quite a statement piece. I mean, you'll definitely stand out. Though maybe not in the way you're hoping for an interview.
Okay, I got it.
So the question for you is that the most human sounding voice you've ever heard? Again, that's a year old technology. I'm going to put a new tool in the chat. So I am going to suggest, you don't have to do this today, but this is Sesame. I think this is the best of the empathetic emotional tools. Actually, we have a minute, so I'll give you a minute. So click on that link and go to Sesame, and you have a choice. I think. Let me know if it's causing problems or not available in the region or doesn't let you log in easily, and I'll do something else. I would do a demo with you, but for some reason the volume on those voices is not. Yeah. So try Sesame. But ask it to do something emotional. So the demo I do for doctors is, you're a patient and I'm just told you have cancer and you're going to die from cancer, right? Or you're a student who wanted to be, right? And so give it a task. Have a trial role play with it, right? Say, so you're my boss and I'm asking for a raise, right? And tell it something about your boss, right? My boss is a jerk. He really likes this. He wants everything to be on time. And help me practice ask for a raise. And I'll give you 60 seconds to try either Miles or Maya, and I'll shut up and then you can put things in the chat if you have questions.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Oh, so you on? Oh yeah, so you've got to unmute your microphone to talk, but leave your Zoom mic on. All right, so I'll give you more time. So again, so what's interesting about this is that, right, the AI doesn't actually feel anything, but in this test on the screen where people tried the conversations with doctors, with real human doctors or AI, first of all, the human doctors rated the AI doctors as better. Their diagnosis was better, their prescriptions, right, they were just better out of most characteristics. But patients also like them better. It's also the case that the usage, so this is the Harvard does a study of what people are using AI for. So you see in 2024, the number one thing was generating ideas. But a few months ago, they released the new survey, and notice that the top three categories are all emotional, right? Therapy, companionship, organizing my life. Most of these people are just using ChatGPT, right? So if you've not, right, the demo I showed on the screen was ChatGPT. It's not as emotional as Sesame. It doesn't have as much empathy, I think. But, you can talk to it. And so also number 33 on the list is grief bots, or talking to the deceased, right? So people will upload grandma's letters and they can, right? I mean, this is weird. But this is a new capability, right? So it's more persuasive than people think it is. So I would try, Hume is the other one that's also on my website, but Sesame I think is the best, but Hume also does, and you can do voices and sorts of, right? So, but this for things like nurses, right? So this is a project called Hippocratic AI. I may do a demo the next time, but right. So for nursing, there's a nursing shortage in the U.S. So there are some things, right? Nurses can't do the physical thing, but they could do the follow-up, right? If you've had a colonoscopy, there's that call. You have to prepare for the colonoscopy. Here are the things to do, and you have some questions, right? Well, this nurse will talk to you for as long as you need to and answer all of your questions, right? So that's going to change things. But of course, it can do other things too.
Here for reference is Jose Bowen, and I am making an AI avatar. I produced an AI avatar in 2 minutes. Apparently, I talk pretty fast. Now I can copy scripts into a box and turn them into videos in any language. I can make me say anything, but so could you.
So I don't speak Chinese, and you've seen this capability because, of course, I sent both of the videos for this talk were generated by AI. I did not make none of that is me. That's my avatar. And so that's called HeyGen is the name of the service that does that. 30 seconds of you making a video, but it probably even do less now. And then you can type scripts in a box. You can pick a language and you can do that. So you can do that for your students, right? So in fact, one American university has created an avatar of every professor at the university, and then the professor can then upload the information for their course, right? Your syllabus, the textbook, but also you could put all other textbooks, right? You could make yourself smarter than you are. You could make yourself an expert in another field, right? Because you upload the material you want it to be an expert on. So, of course, ethically, I would only upload my material. In fact, one professor uploaded his Myers-Briggs so that you would have his personality too. So again, you probably have strong feelings about that, but that's possible. But another thing you could try is just expanding perspectives, right? What might my students think of this, right? What might students who are from a different religious background, a different part of the world, students who are first generation, or just students who, right? Because you understand your academic integrity policy. And so we'll come back and do some real examples of that Wednesday. But this is worth thinking about, right? How could I get a perspective from somebody who has different political opinions than I do? Well, that's now actually pretty easy to do. So the data is that every job is changing 100% because every job has at least one task that AI can do better than a human can today. The question is which tasks, right? So when I go to my doctor, so when I went for my last physical, I got eye contact. Right? My doctor looked at me because normally what the doctor's doing is over there typing. In America, we have all the insurance codes. And so my doctor says, sadly, I didn't go to insurance school. I went to medical school. So, the AI is better at the insurance codes. And so if it's okay with you, the AI will listen to our conversation and it will put in the right codes for all the things that I want to have happen. So that means my doctor saves 2 to 3 hours a day already. So 66% of doctors already use AI in their practice, but notice they're probably not using it for diagnosis, right? Journalists, 10% of the Pulitzer Prize winners last year used AI, but they probably didn't use it for writing. They used it for translation or for transcription or for analyzing data. Teachers in America, this is a big survey that just came out, so 60% of teachers are already using it. But what's interesting is that those who are using it are saving up to 5.9 hours per week, which they say is 6 weeks per year. So the question is, what are you doing with the extra time, right? My doctor's probably going to have to see more patients. But for teachers, at least some teachers are saying, I spend the extra time on more meaningful feedback to my students. I spend more time seeing my students, right? Many of them say it improves the quality of the grading because it checks all of the spelling mistakes, or it does something, right? So the question is, how will you use it? Will you use it to increase relationship time or decrease it? How about advising, right? Do I want it to do advising or do I not want it to do that? Could it do drafts, right? How about assessment reports? We all love doing assessment reports. Well, no, you don't. Maybe AI could do that. Or test questions, study guides. On my resources page, you will find 2 faculty study guides for my last book, Teaching with AI. I didn't touch them. I had AI do both. They're done by 2 different AI, so you can compare. But there are study questions for each chapter. I just asked the AI to read the book and do that. And then I read them and thought, those are pretty good. So I didn't have to do it. I saved myself, an hour of work. My question for you, though, is to think about the threshold of use, right? So this is the problem that Kodak made, right? It didn't recognize that digital cameras were going to be a big thing because early digital cameras were lousy. The quality was poor. So if you tried ChatGPT a few months ago and you got meh, right? So this is when it first came out. The question was, can you do an image of a nursing school leader? No, that's useless. That's terrible. But of course, by last summer, it's a usable image. So ChatGPT 5 just came out. I know there's too many tools, but it's worth trying some of the new capabilities that we're doing because I guarantee you AI is better now than it was a few months ago. So for example, here's a prompt that I gave. I tried this in both GPT-5 and in GenSpark. I have to say I liked GenSpark as a Chinese company that I thought worked much better. I gotta give you where did I put it? Oh, where did I put it? Oh, no. Where did I put it? I'm sorry, I'm looking for it. Well, okay. It's on the QR code. I have to. Okay, well, that's. Oh, hang on. I know how to find it. I'm sorry. I'm looking for it. Well, okay. It's on the QR code. I have to. Okay, well, that's. Oh, hang on. I know how to find it. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm going to put this in the chat. So I invite you to click on that. So I want you to, so there's the prompt. Create and deploy an interactive superhero-themed game to teach the Bingham plastic model through visual simulation to college students, right? This is as much as I know about petroleum engineering is plasticity and, right? So look, so this may be wrong. So if you, it's oh, not logged in. Oh no, need to be logged in. Okay, I made it, okay, I have to, how do I make this public? Oh dear. Okay, well, then I'm going to do this. I'm going to show you. I'm sorry. I will figure that out before we next meet. So here's what it looks like. So there's the Arabic version. There's a little toggle here to go English, right? So there's both. So there's the heroes, Flowmaster, right? So here's a little bit of them. I could be one of these people. Then here is the theory. So there's the equation. Tells me what these things do, gives me some examples, and then real world, and then there's a simulator, right? I can animate the flow, I can do various things. Then there are missions I can go on. So I'm going to try the toothpaste squeeze challenge. I'm going to try to get the superhero needs to brush their teeth. The toothpaste won't come out. Here is the yield stress. I want to I do this thing. It tells me when I'm doing well. I can complete the task. I didn't complete the task. Sorry. Okay. And then there's a quiz. Right? In drilling operations, why is the yield stress of drilling mud important to make it taste better? That's clearly wrong, right? So these are a little bit too easy, right? So let's try that, etc. Page owner can remove badge. Okay, great. So my point here is that, right, the prompt for this was only that. That's all I did, right? Create and deploy an interactive superhero-themed game. That's all I did. And then it thinks for 10 minutes, and then it not only writes the code, it deploys the website. So could you use AI to create tools, create interactive games and simulations for your students? And so we'll talk about how to do that. But GenSpark is how I did that, ChatGPT 5. Again, you could experiment with this between now and Wednesday if you wanted to. So as I said, AI is a new form of labor, right? You are now an AI boss. And so the question is, what should AI do? What should it not do, right? When do you have to check it? When can you say, oh, it could do that, it could leave me alone, right? Could it find candidates for a new job, right? Could it make an email list for me? As I've said, I think we need to raise standards. So one of the themes of your week, I'm hoping, will be how do I let students use AI? Because they will use AI, right? What we call cheating, business calls progress, right? So how do I raise standards? How do I now make my teaching better? How do I make student work have to be better? What more can I ask students to do? So business leaders already say, right, they won't hire students without at least some AI skill. Students who have AI can make more money, right? There's already a salary benefit for people who are AI capable. And students, this is a student survey, students who recently graduated say, I am screwed. You didn't teach me how to use AI and I'm having to retrain. You should have taught me this in college. So this is last June. This is a year ago June. Students said, I'm already in trouble at work. Right, that's students. That's American Gen Z students. So one of the things I suggest you do. So let's do a little test. So pick an AI. Right, if you don't know which one to pick, go to my website and pick one. If you've used ChatGPT, that's good. But go ahead and open up your favorite AI. You can do this with voice, or you can do this probably with text, but ask it to write 150 words about something that you know, right? So that you can test it. And the reason I say 150 words is because AI, like Claude especially, is verbose. Claude is a good writer, but it's a long writer. So ask it to write 150-word summary, 150 words about the latest research on X, 150 words about my university, 150 words about, something that you can say, it wasn't very good. All right, so try that. So try asking it to write 150 words about something that you're an expert at, so you can judge. So then read what it says, and you can grade it and tell me if it's an A, B, or C. Right? How good was it? How bad was it? And you can plop that in the chat if you want. Could it write an A? Was it a B? Was it an F? Okay. How good was it? So go ahead and put if it was A worked, put an A in the chat, and so I'll know that you've done this. Was it B work, C work? All right. So if it did an A, make your prompt harder, right? Make your prompt, ask it for something that's even more expert, right? Ask it for something harder, right? What in the last 6 months, how has thinking changed about this? Right? If I wanted to try to do this, give me a way. I want to try to, here is the situation. I want to drill this way. This is the problem, but I have this kind of environment. Right? Give it something harder to do. Because you don't want it to be an A, right? You want to raise standards. But the other thing you want to realize is that if you give it something hard to do and it's a D, so this is going to be better, right? Then I want you to improve it. Right, so now improve it, right? Get it past undergraduate work to PhD work or expert work. And the way that you do that is by either giving it more information, giving it a style, respond like, right? Think about that. If you ask an AI, and try this between now and Wednesday, ask it to design a syllabus for your next course, right? Design a syllabus for my course, and then decide if that's an A. Right? So you have to give it something a little harder than 150 words. But then now respond like an expert. You've now had 30 years of experience as a great teacher, and students love you. Right? You've read all of the literature on pedagogy. Right? That will make your syllabus better. Right? Or just writing the words, make it better, right? The game that I showed you, that was the only prompt I gave it. But when I did this in ChatGPT 5, and let's see if ChatGPT 5 will let me share its output. I didn't think its output was very good, but this is what ChatGPT 5 produced for that same prompt, right? Oh, yeah, good. That should be available. So, but I did say make it better a couple of times, right? Just so that's the only follow-up prompt. Make it better. So, oh no, that's wrong. So I was looking for a raincoat last night because we're going to the Arctic Circle in November. So I need a raincoat. How cold? Should I have a raincoat plus an inner layer? What are the best brands? Oh, I want it to be this. I'm traveling. I want it to be light, right? So I had to ask a couple of follow-ups. Now, I don't know about raincoats, but I used my expertise as a thinker. So prompting is weird, right? If you want to be a better prompter, you have to iterate, right? Don't accept the first answer. But start with things that you know, right? So because then you can judge, oh, that wasn't a very good response. This is a better response. But notice that small changes make a difference, right? That giving it a little more context will make it better, right? So for example, think about, I have an idea for a proposal. Can you turn this idea into a proposal for my provost, right? For this fund, the Wallace Foundation or this foundation, et cetera, right? But my prompt is better than your prompt because my prompt says, here's an idea. I want you to turn this idea into a proposal that the government of Saudi Arabia will love. The words will love there are small, but they do a lot of work. All right? So practice iterating. But notice that this is asking better questions and evaluating answers. Does that sound familiar? Well, It should, because it's what we do, right? That good use of AI really involves these two things: asking better questions and evaluating answers. And so often working with AI. And so what we want to do is help students learn to do this. So notice that the top skills that employers are saying, what do they want for AI work? Critical and analytical thinking. Working with AI is number two, but we already do this. You were already all teaching AI literacy. So the problem here is what I call the 70% problem, right? If you're a novice, right? If I'm looking for a raincoat, I don't know anything about raincoats, I can get AI to give me a pretty good answer, right? But I don't know that it's right because I'm not an expert, right? If I'm an expert, though, I can use AI to accelerate what I already know and know how to do, right? I can check that Bingham plastic model and go, oh, that's not right. I need to fix that website. So there's a new workflow for experts, which is before I do the project, before I do the writing, are there ideas, outlining, drafts, a sounding board? What are my assumptions? Can you question my assumptions? And then afterwards, editing, right? If I repeated an idea, am I writing for the right audience? Should I anticipate arguments, right? But the work itself, right, it's like a sandwich here, right? The work itself, the meat of the sandwich is still reserved for the student or for me, right? So when we think about what are the new kinds of assignments we're going to do, which we'll do on Wednesday, right? How do I make sure that the writing part is for students? But what I really want to do is to teach you to use AI as a collaborator, not as a replacement. Well, or at least not to use it, but to work with it. So here's an example. I've been thinking about this idea of AI literacy for a while, right? It's like a tennis match, right? Because there's things that you do before you hit the ball, and there are things that you do to return the ball. So before you hit the ball, before you ask the question, you've got to say, well, is this the right question? Is this a good task for AI? So for example, if I want to know, who won the World Cup, that's a lousy question for AI. I can Google that. That's a Google search, right? Is the goal to help me produce a product or to help my process? So if I'm a student, the question is, will AI interfere with my learning? So can I clarify the information? So there are a whole series of questions I have to ask before I even start to use AI, right? And then after I get the answer, I have to evaluate it for errors. Is it using the right kind of evidence? Is it relevant? Can I make it better, right? So this is the human bit that I had. And so I fed this into AI. This is Claude 4. And I said, turn this into an easier to remember chart. And it said, you could do task and exam. So notice the anagram that it has, right? But it also made this chart with those weird tennis balls, right? I did say tennis. But it's like, so I had to go again and say, okay. So it turns out, ask better questions. It said, well, how about, right, task? So T is for task appropriateness. Will AI add value? A is for aims. So I call this the push-up test. That actually was my idea, right? Will this make me stronger or just save effort? So for students, right, because only the person who does the push-ups gets the benefit, right? You have to do the work yourself. Otherwise, right, you can go to the gym and watch somebody else do push-ups, not that useful. So the push-up test. Setup and specificity, right? Collaboration. Right? Not really a K, but okay, it cheated, right? And then evaluating answers, right? E for errors, X for examine, right? A for alignment. Is this the so what test? So this isn't bad, right? I'm not sure this is done yet, but the point is that AI was able to take my thinking and to put it into and to think, oh, well, you could do this. This might be an easier way. I could now come back and say, oh, I want it to be just two things on either side, et cetera. But this works, I think, as a kind of AI literacy. And so I want us to think about how do we raise standards. How do I give students more complex tasks, right? If AI can already do A work, I need to give it harder things to do. I need to give students harder things to do sooner, right? I can let it do that. So one of those things is I have done this critical thinking bot. This is also on my page. I should probably show it, so how to get there. So if I go to my, I stopped share. So let me go to my website. And so under AI, I have Simulations, games, and roles. This is under the AI tab, and so if I go there, oh, no, wrong one, sorry. I want to go to prompts for learning. There we go. Prompts for learning. So here is the bot that I've put on the screen before, right? So you can either try it here as a custom bot, and I will put this link in the chat. There's the direct link. So what you can do is, what I would have you do is take this, right? You just copy and paste the whole prompt, right? You copy and paste the whole prompt into a bot, and then it should behave in the way that I have designed it. And so what it does is it asks students what argument do you want to make, and how can I make it better? Right. So it's designed to help students think better about their project before they even get started. So it's a tool that I use, and again, I'll teach you how to make these, we'll teach you how to do things, but it's an example of how I can raise standards. So now I want student projects to be more intellectually rigorous. I want their writing to be better. I want them to anticipate contradictory evidence, et cetera, because I've given them this tool that they can use to do that. And lastly, AI is going to make us all more creative, and I will talk a lot about this on Wednesday. But I still had to write the prompt. I still had to say, I want, Genghis Khan with his face as a strawberry, and talking to Queen Victoria, who's a rabbit, with some cats with wings flying in the background. Right? I had to think of all this. It can do that, but I had to think of creativity. It's like collaborating with an alien, right? It hallucinates, it makes up things, but it does things that no human ever did. That's often useful. It also has no problem with quantity, right? So in this case, right, we created a cartoon, but again, notice start with 20 ideas and then pick the funniest, right? So I get a better answer because I didn't just say, write me a cartoon. I said, do 20 and then evaluate. I asked it, right, metacognition. I asked it to evaluate the cartoons and then pick one that was the funniest, right? And so that improves the answers of what I can get. AI is a great idea generator. It allows us to think of other things we could have students do. It allows us to personalize, right? I could customize every assignment for students. And so these are some of the things that we will try to do on Wednesday. But the idea is that AI can help us improve teaching. It can help us improve student support. It can help us be more customized. It can help us improve reflection. But only if we use it well. We are going to have to be good users of this, and that's not automatic. So we are going to have to spend some time and try different kinds of things. We have to know a little bit about different models. But my big question for you is to think beyond efficiency, right? Not just what could I do faster? Obviously, you should also do that. But what could I now do that I couldn't do before? What could I customize assignments for students? Could I give students a tool that could do that? What are the things that I could now do that I couldn't do before? Which are the tasks that I need to do, and what are tasks that AI could assist me in? And so we'll spend more time exploring hands-on, but I want to at least make sure there's a couple of minutes for questions before we end for today. So any questions before we go?
So you can, if you have any question, please, you can speak directly to the mic, or maybe you can post your question in the chat, and Jose will pick it from there.
So I love this question about calculus. So I had a math program when I was the president, and we had students who were coming in who did not have calculus, who still wanted to be STEM majors, and so they were behind, and so they felt, they were behind a year because their high school just didn't offer it, and so there are ways to teach calculus, and so in the state of Maryland, they discovered that the students who took these classes were able to catch up, and because they had learned calculus. Right, they were able to take certain kinds of courses with not having all the math prerequisites. A calculator, right, is now standard issue in elementary school, but we still teach addition. So notice the calculator changed what we needed to teach, but it didn't eliminate the need to teach number sense. So AI is going to change what we need to teach, but it's not obvious what that will be. Well, old faculty like me, I'm retired, right? We can learn new things, but it does mean we have to be willing to try what AI can do. But you're right. I would talk to the students about how they're using AI and what mistakes. This is absolutely something you should do. What are you finding AI is good at? What is it not good at? So I love this question about a ChatGPT. So this is the problem I had with this, why I liked GenSpark better for my demo for that model. Right, GenSpark just got on with it and did it, and ChatGPT kept asking me questions. Do you want this? Do you want that? And so sometimes you just have to say, shut up and do it. Right? It turns out that being polite to AI doesn't make a difference most of the time. Sometimes it does. We'll talk about some of those tricks next time. But talking to it like a naive intern can often help. Oh, hang on, there's lots of. So the differences between ChatGPT 4 and 5, mostly it's that ChatGPT 5, at the moment, I think it's going to change in the next week, but if you're on the free model, ChatGPT 5 gives you option of many more tools, searching, reasoning, but it does the picking for you, which I think is ultimately going to be a problem, because sometimes you want, right, and they're going to want to pick the cheapest model for them, and you want the best model for you. But sometimes people don't know there's a better model or a cheaper model, and so we are going to talk a little bit about cheating on Wednesday and detection. But I'll tell you in a nutshell, my strategy is not try to detect that with a detector because that's flawed, but to make assignments where students use AI, but the work quality is simply raised several levels. So I will give you examples of how to do that on Wednesday.
Okay, I think we have to end here. So thank you very much, Jose, for this insightful talk. And thank you everyone for joining us today. And I hope to see you in the detailed workshop on Wednesday, inshallah. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Assalam.